Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. We're here to talk about Tazewell County is releasing a new initiative as part of a collaborative effort with the Citizens Participation Institute. The new catalog is the 2021 election catalog, local election catalog. The purpose of it is to advertise all of the offices that are up for election in 2021 with the goal of making citizens aware that now is the time to start circulating petitions, to start gathering signatures, and to get their name on the ballot. We will have the election April the 6th, 2021 is the consolidated general election. It's important to note, kind of a side subject, but I do want to mention it here today because I do believe it's of importance. All of the funding, all of the additives that you've seen from the federal and the state government for the November election for COVID will not be in place for the April election. We have been instructed that we won't be receiving at this point any state or federal funding to assist with COVID related items with that election. I encourage our state legislators, it was important to have those safeguards in place for November. It's equally important to make sure that this election is taken care of in April. With that side note being stated, the positions up in April are vitally important. You have mayors, you have townships, you have school boards, you have park districts. They're the ones that spend 90% of the property taxes of local residents. It's not the individuals elected this November, it's going to be the individuals elected in this April election. It's vitally important that we have good pool of leaders to choose from for those vital positions. And I believe Tazewell County has had a record of outstanding mayors, township leaders, many of which I work with on a frequent basis. But it doesn't hurt to recruit more. It doesn't hurt to make sure that the pool of candidates grows rather than shrinks. There is a shortage of candidates. We do see numerous municipalities, numerous school boards having to appoint because they didn't have enough people on the ballot. So that is why this effort's being launched. This is the first time anybody in downstate Illinois has attempted the catalog effort like this. It's something that's been done up in the Chicago area, but not in downstate Illinois. I do believe you'll see others in downstate because they saw our final product interested in producing something similar to it and coming out and hopefully working with our guest, Stan Ziegel from the Citizens Participation Institute on this effort as well. Stan has been fantastic to work with. This product was developed by him for a fellow county up in the northern suburbs. He discussed it at one of our conferences. We heard about it, thought, man, this could work well down here, and him and Vanessa, my Tazewell County election supervisor, have been collaborating on this effort for about 3-4 months now to produce the final product that we're releasing to the public today. They've already been mailed out to every municipality, so every village hall and town hall, city hall should have them. The townships have them available, each township facility, and all of the local libraries have copies available free for the public to pick up and browse through. Additionally, the hard copy is on our website for citizens to look at electronically as well. Again, we're passing them out free. Copies are available in my office here as well. Our hope is that citizens pick this up, peruse through it, and realize, wow, that's what a park board member does. I could run for the park district. I could run for the township. That's how many signatures I need. This is when we turn it in. What we find a lot of times is individuals that are already active in government, that are already participating, they know these deadlines, they know these time frames. But I can't tell you how often I hear people, I'd really like to run for the city council, or I'd really like to run for the county board. Well, I'm sorry, last week was the deadline for turning in petitions. So then they're cut out of it just because they are not aware of these time frames. So that's why we're advertising this timely press conference. Now is the time to start talking about this, to start considering running for these offices. Now is the time to get petitions and start passing them around and getting the signatures required to get your name on the ballot for these important vital positions. Tazewell County Clerk's Office is extremely proud of this collaborative effort. Again, first ever in downstate Illinois. And we truly believe that this exercise will result in additional candidates stepping forward to continue to build the pool of leaders that we use for these vitally important positions here of local government. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa, again, the Tazewell County Election Supervisor, who did a fantastic job with this effort. And I'll allow her to say a few words, and then she'll introduce Stan. Vanessa?
If you don't mind, why don't you say and spell your name so we have that?
Vanessa Reynolds, VANESSA REYNOLDS, Tazewell County Election Supervisor.
Thank you.
And I do want to thank Stan. He was very welcoming to work with in putting out this catalog. And it is basically to get local citizens
To step forward, turn on front.
to get local citizens to step forward and know that they can be a part of their community and make changes within their school districts and their park districts, even down to their fire districts. So I just want to thank Stan again for helping me out with this and giving me the incentive to get this out to the public. And this is Stan Siegel.
Hi, I am Stan Siegel. I'm the Executive Director of the Citizen Participation Institute. And we want to get citizens to participate. The problem is there's a big candidate shortage. And 2/3 of all the offices on the ballot are unopposed. It turns voting, the right to vote becomes an empty right, R-I-T-E. You go in, and only 1/3 of the time do you actually have a choice to make. Everything else you're doing is just ratifying the voices or the candidates that are there. There are congressional seats in Illinois that are unopposed. There are always there's no question who's going to control the Illinois legislature next time. Because there are many seats the Republicans didn't file for. There are some seats Democrats didn't file for. The only question is what's the size of the margin that Michael Madigan will have. You know, that people just, because of it's not voter turnout, it's the lack of candidates that cause these patterns. The catalog is designed to be freely distributed. Folks can browse it. One of the things that we show in it is this is the distribution of elected offices in Illinois. You know, 1 out of every 7 is a township official, for instance. Then we've got 36,000 elected positions in the state. So these are the various ones that are elected in April. This is about 95% of all the elected offices, different colors. If you look away over at the right-hand end, there's a little tiny sliver of red. You may have to squint to see it. That is the offices elected in November. Only 1,000 of the 36,000 offices are elected in November. The ones elected in April are, as John said, the ones that spend 90% of your taxes. As John said, you know, the president doesn't drive the ambulance to pick you up. The governor doesn't drive the fire engine. That's all done by your local people. It's the people elected in April that actually have an actual effect on what you will do tomorrow. If they don't get the streets plowed, how do you get to work? You know, it's that sort of thing. If they close the schools, what do you do with the kids that day? It's these local officials that are so important. So what we've done in the catalog, which is actually 2 parts. One, we have a listing of all the elected offices that will be on the ballot in April, from mayor to fire district trustee, library trustee, and so on. And the second part is a little mini encyclopedia of Illinois government that explains in detail what these various offices or public bodies do, as well as a good bit of Illinois history and legal history. The thing that we show, if you were to pick an office, is you can see your community here. you know, what the office is. And we tell you how many signatures you need to get on a petition. And you'll be able to download the petitions from your website. Some people don't want to go into the village hall and get a set of papers. They don't want anyone to know that they might want to run. They can download it from John's website. But we show the number of signatures that you need. In some cases, there's a minimum and a maximum. Anything you turn in over that maximum just be ignored. But another feature that we have is a column we call easy or ease, and that's a score based upon past elections. It goes from 1 to 5, and if it's a 5, it's probably very easy for you to be elected randomly. It means that historically there have been, you know, seats that nobody even ran for on that board. And a 4 means usually it's exactly the number of people and so on. You know, when you get the lower numbers, it's a little more competitive. But there are so many offices where it's just the exact number or they don't have enough. And John mentioned that they end up appointing people. Well, usually if it's an appointee, it's someone you had to talk into it. And there's no road to Damascus experience. If they weren't interested enough to put their name on the ballot with the 10 signatures that they would need to run for alderman in Marquette Heights, if they weren't interested in doing that simple thing, why are they going to have a road to Damascus experience when they're sworn in as an appointee and suddenly have an interest in that? I've seen that happen too many times. So we try to give an explanation of this particular office, as well as the statistics. We show, for instance, even on the fire districts, many of them are appointed because the fire district doesn't go outside of a single township and such. But so if anybody's looking for theirs, if it's an appointed position, we show them that. You know, don't worry, we didn't forget it. These, as John said, these are, you know, the people that spend most of your tax money. There are also some important positions that are always appointed. They're not elected positions, but we show those as well and who to apply for. Election judge is one that is very much needed. One of the problems is that everywhere it's hard to find people to become election judges. They got to work 18 hours basically without a break. Fire district commissioners, library trustees in cities, and so on. Pension board members. These are positions that always need folks. The other thing we're trying to make people aware of is the long lead time. To be on the April ballot, you need to turn in your paperwork, and it's simple paperwork, but you need to do it before Christmas. You can start to circulate September 22nd. You have to turn it in before December 21st. And it's important that people realize that, because a lot of them don't think about school board or anything like that, you know, until after this November election is out of the way. And, you know, probably after New Year's, and by that time the windows has slammed shut. So we want people to realize how easy it is to get on the ballot, how few signatures it is, all of these interesting positions that are available that affect them and their neighbors, and that they need to get to it. Few signatures are needed, and it's best, from John's office, you can get a free list of all the people that are eligible to sign your papers. So if you don't know your neighbors very well, that's okay. You know, you can get a list and you can just go down and you can go up to the door. You know their name and you know they're qualified. So, be glad to answer any questions you have.
I guess just to throw one more thing in real
Sure.
quick. Again, it's our goal with this new effort to build the pool of candidates,
Yes.
to bring more to the table, to show people, engage the citizens on just how easy it is to run for some of these offices and when the time frame is to do that. It is approaching, and it is something that individuals should be considering now. It's my hope that people take this free book, go home, go through it, and realize, I could serve my community in this way. I could serve my community in that way. As a county clerk, that's our job, is to get the information out and make it available to the public. And this new collaborative effort, as I stumbled through that, sorry, this new collaborative effort, that's its main goal, that's its main purpose. That being said, please realize as well, this is a new effort. I'm sure there's a mistake or two in this book. This is supposed to be a guide. You're a local election official who is your village clerk, your township clerk. You can call our office. We should, give us a call if you have any questions before you want to run. But we're not saying that this is supposed to be a guide helping to motivate people and bring them forward. There may be a mistake or two in here. I know there's one funny word misspelling in here. We tried our best, and I believe we put forward a good effort, a good product. It doesn't mean that it's absolutely perfect. We do strive for that, but we are human, so we do come up short sometimes on that effort. So I do believe, that being said, that when people take a look at this, they'll find it to be extraordinarily helpful and useful. Like Stan said, we're happy to take any questions.
Any ideas of why there's not as many candidates as there used to be? And
I think because people don't realize in time what's available, and or know that this body even is elected, and that they could be on the library board if they wanted to. I think it's a lack of education.
I mentioned it earlier. I was going to just repeat what I said earlier, which is that I believe a lot of times for those of us that are behind the wall, behind the curtain, we know how things are done and the time frame in which we need to do them. For individuals that aren't currently involved, that aren't currently serving, these time frames, which are solid, can't start circulating them until September 22nd. They have to be turned in before December 31st. How does an average citizen supposed to know that unless we do an effort like this to get the word out to them? So I believe a lot of times people just don't know what the time frame is to run for that. They express interest after the time frame's already expired. I also believe we're fortunate here in Tazewell County. We have been blessed to have so many community leaders step forward. Our city councils, our mayors, our township boards are flooded with outstanding individuals. It's not saying that that's a problem now, but it's best to have competitive races. It's best to have a large pool of candidates so that you don't run into a situation like several counties have where their pool of candidates have dried up. They don't have anybody stepping forward anymore. So regardless of the fact that we're in good shape now, this is building for the future.
Have politics become too political and that's turning people off? Statewide?
I would say that that's the benefit of this effort here. This is a nonpartisan effort. His organization's nonpartisan. You'll notice there's no Republican or Democrat in this book. Townships are the only ones elected in April that are Republican or Democrat. And we don't address that in here. We address it all from a nonpartisan effort. The tone of politics does turn some people off, but I think it's important that you remember what you see on TV doesn't take place in Pekin, Illinois, doesn't take place in Washington, Illinois. These are citizens that step forward to lead. These positions, a couple of our mayors may be full-time. The vast majority of them have a second job. They have families at home that they need to spend time with as well. They're volunteering to step forward. They're not highly paid individuals. These are volunteer positions. All of our township positions, the vast majority of them are all volunteer, not full-time staff. These aren't, when you think of politics today, the ones being elected in April aren't those politicians. They're individuals that just want to make sure that their communities are served properly, that the roads are being taken care of, the fire department's responding when they're called, the police are out there engaging with the public. Those are the type of decisions being made by these individuals, not the he said, she said type of politics that we see nationally sometimes.
But would there be, what you're saying, the part-time is really full-time? Because when I do interviews with the road commissioners or whatever, they're like, I'm getting calls, it could be at 2 in the morning, and is that turning people off?
I don't think so, because those individuals sign up to serve their community knowing that, like the road commissioners, they know that they're going to be called out anytime. And they're proud to do it. That's the way they want to serve their community. This effort's just making sure that other individuals know as well that those positions are available, so that we continue to build that valuable pool of candidates. So we have those leaders in place.
Yeah, the difference between the November elections, which are the ones that, you know, all the hoopla is about right now, I call them the rehearsal election, because the April election, the local election, takes just as many poll workers, just as many polling places, more ballots, and more complicated ballots than a presidential election. This is where the kinks get worked out, and the poll workers get hired and such, because they're really needed in April. So you have this. But here's a big difference. If you are elected in November, you get a job. You get pay, pension, and power. If you're elected in April, you get to do important work for no pay. It's pure service. Only a couple positions pay, and that's kind of, you know, nominal. In our village, we pay our trustees $1,500 a year. Most of these offices, park district, the school district, by law, they are unpaid. If you run for that, you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You're doing it for your community. You're not doing it for pay, pension, and power. So, by law, these are nonpartisans. They don't get into things. Nobody cares what your views of abortion are when you are running for fire district trustee. It doesn't make, it's not relevant. You don't have this. When's the last time you saw a yard sign for a library board? You know, these are positions where they're dealing on principle, not on personalities and things. So you shouldn't be worried about, you know, having, rude things scrawled on your front door if you're a candidate. It's good that you're even considering it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.